All right, well, thank you for taking time to come to our OneNote intermediate session on Link. Sorry about the short notice on this one. I got a little behind over vacation. It kind of slipped my mind, but I hope you had a great week. Hopefully you can see my screen. We've started in Office 365 today, so I think most of you have already been in OneNote. Remember that OneNote is designed to be stored online for anytime, anywhere access. And there are some functions that you're only going to be able to access when you're in the full version. So this is the file I'm using today, and I'll share it with you later. And we are going to go ahead and use this top center open in OneNote to open it in the full version. So we have access to everything. So when you do that, you'll see you no longer have a URL bar, but you're in just a full program. Here's the name of my file. I have sections across the top and my pages down the left. And today we're using intermediate OneNote, and hopefully I can show you some things that you haven't discovered on your own yet. We're going to start with tags and searching. Once you get into OneNote, your files start to get very big, and sometimes it can be a little cumbersome to find things. Sometimes I know we mentioned something at a meeting, but I have so many pages from different meetings, I have a hard time finding it. So tags and searching are very useful in OneNote. So if you think about a PD event, I was using this the other day at an MSTEP training, you can make to-do lists on the go at OneNote, and you can add other tags, and then you can search for them later. So if you're like me, a lot of times at professional development, I'll be making a to-do list. These are the follow-up things I want to try, or these are the questions that I have that I want to make sure I ask later. So from the Home tab in OneNote, we have, towards the center, a tag section on your ribbon. The to-do tag is nice and big, and it's one thing that I use the most. Since OneNote is accessible from your phone and your tablet, you can do things like grocery lists in OneNote and just access them real quick. And then you can share them with your significant other so they can add and shop too. So in this case, I just made a to-do list, and to tag an item, I started with just a title, and once you start a list, it'll continue. To start a new list, I will just start a new list off to the right here. To start an item with a tag, I can simply click on this to do, and it'll give me my little checkbox. And now I can start typing my items, and just like a bulleted list in Word, once I start my list, my tags, it'll just continue every time I hit enter. But you have more than just to do available in OneNote. In the same area, you'll find that there are lots of different tags. These are my most frequently used here in this little window. But this find tags right next to the to-do tag, I'm sorry, off track here. If I click this down arrow, I see all the tags available to me. So we have things, you can probably see this list a little bigger, things like ideas, or this is critical, remember to discuss this, books to read. Have you ever been someplace and someone's like, oh, you should read this book, and then you forget it? Type it in real quick and mark it as a book to read. They also have a music to listen to or questions. So it gives you a real easy visual cue. And then when you want to find it later and you can't, that's when you click on this Find Tags. If I click on it in my ribbon, I will get a new search window off to the right, and I can search by sections or titles to find the tags that I have. So I can click critical, and you can see it found my critical tag and highlights it for me so I can find it. So tagging items makes it a little easier for you to go to find later. And then you have a search box at the top right also. If you're looking for something that maybe you forgot to tag, or you're just looking for maybe a keyword, then you have a search box that works a lot like other search boxes that we use. If I type in picture, I come up with a list of notes, and as I click on them, I can find what I mentioned. It even you'll notice it searches other notebooks. That changed my notebook, and maybe in the middle of a training that wasn't a good idea. But the search tag is definitely useful. If you're using it as much as Craig's been using it, then your notebooks start to get very long and a little cumbersome. So it's nice to have a search engine built right in. When you're done with that, this is back at the original file. We can click the X to click out of it. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. Craig is here, and Craig is actually a OneNote expert a little bit more than me, so I'm just throwing it out there. He can chime in if he's got anything to add. Another thing that we can do in OneNote is connect to Outlook. If you use Outlook for meetings and to organize your calendar, it is a great feature. So what the connecting to Outlook allows you to do is send meeting notes to everyone in the meeting and to share your information. We're going to do that. We're still under the Home tab, and it's under Meeting Details. When you click Meeting Details, it will actually let you choose meetings from, it'll list my meetings from today, or let me choose another meeting. I'm going to choose this meeting, our Timeout for Tech, and you can see it put my information right here. I didn't technically invite all of you. I did this week's a little different, but you can see it's Craig and I are both on the list. Anyone that's accepted that meeting will get that. And then when I'm ready to email, I can use this email page tab function on my ribbon, and it will send the page and my notes over here. It started an Outlook page. It automatically populated it with the people coming to the meeting, and it puts my notes right in there. So it's a quick and easy way to share your information. I don't think Craig will need my little monster later. Okay, any questions so far? Welcome back. It still feels like Monday, right? You don't see the pop-up. Did I get it over there, Craig? It opened an Outlook window on the other side of my, there it goes. So now it's just an email. So I can go ahead and send it. Craig needs more emails, so we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. I'm going to skip over the class notebook creator for now because that takes a little longer. We might have to do a whole separate section on that. But let's go to the Insert tab. So just like Word and Excel, you have different tabs on the top of your OneNote. If we click on the Insert tab, there are lots of different tools you can find. And one thing I wanted to show you in OneNote that's not really on that tab, but see how I did this insert and then I have pages that are moved over? I created like a hierarchy of my pages. So Insert, the Insert tab is my main topic, and these are subtopics. If you want to make a subpage, you can simply right-click. So if I go to my very first page in this section and I right-click on Review, it gives me options with this page. I can rename it, but one thing I can do is make it a subpage. Well, it doesn't have anything above it. That was a bad choice. I'll try with the tags. And make a subpage, and when I do that, it just moves it over. So that's one more thing you can do to organize it. And since I don't actually want it underneath, I can right-click again to promote it back to its own page instead of a subpage. So on the Insert tab, if we look at the subpages, it's got some different functions. Recording audio and video is one, and I know some teachers are real concerned you want your kids to have permission. This might not be something everybody's up to, but when we had a presenter at a conference last summer show us this, the possibilities, especially for our students with accommodations, are so cool. Because what you can do, at our Intro to OneNote session, we talked about inserting files. So what I did on this page is I did a file printout of a notes PowerPoint. We're teachers, we give notes, and that's just one thing we do. If you get this to students ahead of time, they can put the entire file right on their page, so I can see every slide. I didn't do it as an attachment, I did it as a printout. And then students can, if they have a device, they can use the record audio and video. I just did audio on this one, to record you as you go through those notes with the class. So here the sound wasn't really great, and I was kind of making up as I went, but here's the audio recording I did earlier. When I hover over it, I can click play, and it'll play that recording. Hopefully the sound will come through for you. It's a little fuzzy. Now check out what happened. I was doing a little archaic drawing as I went. Students can type or draw notes as you go, and the audio follows along. When it got to the point where I drew this in the audio, it highlighted this. If I go to the next slide where I added some highlighting, see these little play buttons come up? They're real tiny. They might be hard to see on your side. But if I click play, it'll go right to the part of the audio that was recorded as I highlighted that information. So students, as they go to review, can skip right ahead to the part of the lecture that pertains to the notes they're looking at. They have one file that has your lecture, their own personal notes, and your formal notes that you've given to them. And that could be such a great tool for our kids who need help taking notes, or the students that you're required to provide notes for. It's so easy to give them these electronic files, and such a great tool. Again, I know not everyone's really comfortable being recorded, and no one likes to listen to it the next time, but it is such an awesome tool. Other things you can find under Insert, we have page templates. This one's a little less deep here, but you can simply, if we go back to the Insert tab, I can go to page templates, and you can start, it will start a new page. It will not necessarily just change the template on the page you have, but now you can see this one I put a pretty cloud. So if you want to spice up your pages at all, make them a little original and unique, that page template, you've got many to choose from. They're super easy to add to your pages. And if you're involved in, if you use math at all with your students, under the Insert tab, there's also an equation inserter. It's very much similar to the math tools in Smart Notebook. I can click the drop down on the Insert tab, and here are some pretty common equations, and I can simply select one to insert it. Once I insert it, I can type my own numbers into here. The other thing you can do is OneNote can actually calculate for you, and this is one I was kind of like, well, maybe we don't want to tell the students about this right away, although they have calculators and they have phones with calculators, and if we don't tell them, they'll figure it out. But you can simply click on a page in OneNote. I'm going to make my font a little bigger. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. So I just clicked on a new spot, and I'm going to start typing some numbers. I'm going to do 12. Oh, I haven't tried multiplication yet, but I will. 12 times 15 plus 52 and equals, and it computed that for me because my math is not that fast. So you have really a built-in calculator right on your page just by typing in some quick numbers. And again, I know that sometimes we want kids to work it out in their head. There's definitely a reason for that, but they also have tools at their hands and they use them. So there are some great math functions. And we are almost out of time, but let me show you the last couple things real quick, and if you need to go, I understand. I don't take offense. There is a history tab, and the nice thing about the history tab is it allows you to go back and revisit. So if you shared notebooks with people and maybe you don't like some of the things they've added, or you've made some changes and you want to revert back to an old version of the page, you can do that under the history tab. You can also see who's added what. That's nice if you're doing group projects with your class or you have students collaborating. You can check recent edits, and you can mark things that you've read so that you're not constantly going back to them. And one great thing, and I will do this with you momentarily, is you can share sections of a notebook. So I'm going to share this particular notebook section with you, so you'll have access to it if you need to review it. On the section tab at the top, I'm simply going to right-click, and you get all kinds of options, and you can copy a link. So I've copied that link, and now I'm going to email it to you. I had turned off my Outlook so we didn't get pop-ups. There we go. Oh, I started too many. So now I can right-click and do a paste. You will, hopefully, when you get this, be able to click on this and get, oh, Pat. You'll be able to have access to this notebook. I like to tease Pat because I kind of know that's how he rolls. All right, does anyone have any questions? Feel free.
Sarah, I have a question. That's a good way to get a link to a section, but do you have to share the notebook?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
Did mine work for you earlier? Because I didn't share it with you.
I don't know. We should test that.
Okay. we'll test that, and I will add the information to this page so you can come back. I know you will be dying to know the answer there, so I will update this notebook and share it with you if I need to. Well, thanks for taking time out today. I know it's very cold. Feel free to stick around if you have any questions. Feel free to go if you feel good, but hopefully you picked up a couple things you can use. There's so much in OneNote I haven't even touched on myself. There's lots more, but a little bit at a time. I hope you guys have a great day, and if you need anything, just let us know.